Jack Harlow. Man, Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow is one of the most charismatic figures in hip hop right now. Always trying to showcase his riz whenever he can. You know Jack Harlow, what's poppin'? You know Jack Harlow, Nail Tech. Oh, maybe you know Jack Harlow, you know, the one that was with the song on Industry Baby. Yeah, that Jack Harlow. But that's just the casual look on Jack Harlow. Jack Harlow was very, very consistent back in his mixtape days. In my opinion, I feel like his best mixtape is Gazebo. If you haven't heard any of his past 4 mixtapes, please do your due diligence, and I recommend those mixtapes because I believe those were the best times of Jack Harlow, in my opinion, in his whole entire discography. But compared to his debut or commercial albums, boy, they have been really, really rough. For starters, his debut album, That's What They All Say, just wasn't well received. Then just last year, Come Home The Kids Miss You was one of the worst albums of that year.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I mean, seriously, it was trash. And with these 2 mediocre to trash albums peaking at this rate, I wasn't really looking forward to JackMaN here. Going into JackMaN was more so of an eye roller, or better yet, a chore trying to even listen to this thing. But to compare to the other 2 last albums, I do want to say this album is better than the last 2. But even that isn't even saying much. JackMaN starts off with an intro track called Common Ground. Common Ground has a good sample. I think it's exceptional. Lyrically, I think it's exceptional. And he starts off very, very strong in this track. However, there is a trend as you're listening through this album. I will remind you, but make sure you keep in mind. Sliding on to the second song, They Don't Love It. For starters, the beat sounds like something that Kanye West would cook up. You know, like these chipmunk vocals in the background. It's pretty kind of dreamy in my eyes. And then the chorus is just very, very bland. Just repeatedly saying, they don't love it, they don't love it. And it's the best chorus on here, but again, that's not really saying much for Jack Harlow standards. And then finally, Jack Harlow thinks he's the hardest white boy since Eminem. Yeah, that's cap. Ambitions is a song reflecting on different parts of Jack Harlow's life, such as at the age of 14, he's starting to get his feet wet, meaning that he's starting to go through the beginning stages of having local shows as a rapper, such as with this cringe bar, even if it's 15 high school chicks, better than a row full of dicks. Literally no comment. Fast forward at age 19, he talks about walking through various bars and various clubs and just gaining that charismatic attitude that we all know him for. And then following that, at age 24, is just a more previous version, but I guess more inflated as he goes into young adulthood at age 24. By the way, the beat that he is rapping over sounds something like So Far Gone from Drake, or you could probably say Graduation from Kanye. In my opinion, Is That I is very, very bland. The way he story tells it is just not convincing, and I get what he's saying, like he's going at haters or critiques and just saying or what he can or cannot say or how he wants to live his life. And that's fine, Jack Harlow. You can live your life however you want. But the storytelling is just so bland on this track. Not even gonna sugarcoat this. Before I get into this next song, I want to talk about Gang Gang. Now, Gang Gang is a song that can make certain viewers very, very uncomfortable. It talks about, you know, a word that rhymes with grape, if you can say. Into more details, this song is basically about 2 friends, Kevin and Marcus, that done these crimes, and Jack Harlow is really, really spitting in these last verses. He talks about brothers until something is uncovered, dogs until lifting of the fog, and there's more of these, but these bars are very, very good. But the beginning parts of just talking about Marcus and Kevin and some of the things that they did with another friend is just uncomfortable, and honestly, it could have been at least said in a different way. I'm gonna be honest. Beautiful, dreamy instrumental. Maybe the best chorus in this whole entire album, in my opinion. But for the middle parts of this song, nah, this ain't it. Heading to Denver. Denver is a valid song. The illustration and the storytelling that Jack Harlow tells us in this rap, it's very compelling. Basically, Jack is starting to hear the criticisms and the pressure that people put on him. To who is putting on him? I don't know. I don't know who they want him to be. I don't know who they think Jack Harlow is. But I don't know who's putting this on you, buddy. I'm gonna be honest, because it ain't me. It ain't me. But in all seriousness, this is a very solid track. Very valid track. Probably one of my favorites on this album. No One Answers is a heartfelt track from Jack Harlow. He talks about basically his girl not having like the body, the flaws, and he takes all of that and he just adores. Basically saying that I like my girl natural, she don't need no enhancements, and you know, so on, repeating the chorus. It Can't Be is just basically a song where Jack Harlow is just flexing. Anything that you could think of that Jack Harlow would say, it can't be, fill in the blank. Like basically, it can't be the smile, it can't be the way that I look at the crowd. Like, you get the picture. Like, you could just literally put it can't be, and that applies to whatever Jack Harlow would say. Blame on Me is a song that Jack Harlow is learning that his older brother is just growing up in front of his very eyes. Basically, his older brother goes to junior college and doesn't even look at him as his brother anymore, more so as a pest. And the young Harlow tries to get his brother attention through just being flat out annoying or trying to pick on him or even intruding in some of his brother's gatherings with his friends. His brother still treats him in a way that he's a pest, but he acknowledges that Jack Harlow still loves him. Side note, I think the chorus is very okay, and I loved actually the beat. I think it's very, very gloomy, and it fits the emotions that are going on in the song. And last, with the concluded song, Questions. Questions is basically a song about Jack Harlow asking himself hypothetical questions. For example, why am I so flawed? Or another question is, what if people go Danny Phantom? And there's several more questions I can point out of, but it just makes him look so very insecure and just not sure of himself. Such as two more extra questions I'd like to add. What if I don't meet expectations? What if I don't reach my destination? And speaking of destination, the destination that I have reached, is this album better than the previous two albums? And I will be honest with you, yes, I think it's significantly better. But even with that significancy, it's still not saying much. Questions is a perfect example of a sum up of how Jack Harlow's feeling. He's starting to learn that no matter how much critiques, how much ways we feel about his album, and how much of the naysayers that speak on this album, Questions is the sum up song onto why this album entirely does not exceed its boundaries. It doesn't come out of its shell. It stays into this little bubble that is just mid. And that's what this album is. And y'all can call it JackMaN, but I'm probably gonna call it Midman, because it's just a heap of mid. That's what it is. Also adding that JackMaN is just safe, and that's what Questions really told me the truth in that whole song. So yeah, JackMaN, Jack Harlow, 5 out of 10.